Make some noise for your host, Kid Copious.
What up, perps? Kid Copious back in the bunker. Purple State Party. You know what we stand for: America, common sense, the center, and things that go kablooey. Not anyone that says, let's go, Brandon. That's the title of the show. Pretty self-explanatory. Everybody was chanting something at a NASCAR match, or race match. The cars matching up. And they were chanting F Biden, and the reporter said, that sounds like they're chanting, let's go, Brandon. And that has become the rallying cry. Even this little kid right here got in on the action.
Let's go, Brandon!
But anyhow, it's only time will tell how many kids are going to be named Brandon. That's going to be the most popular name of 2021, 2022, I bet. Let's go, Brandon. It's just remarkable that, like, a guy who got 82 million votes now is down into the less than 40s in his approval rating. So that's like, I don't know, like 24 million people, 25 million people still support him. Like, he hasn't even been in for a year. He has made mistake after mistake after mistake. He's losing control of his party. And it's because they're kowtowing to the radical left. And even people on the left can't subscribe to that kind of crap. You know? And we see examples of why, leading strategists and bean counters and stuff are saying that the Democrats might be in trouble right now. Because reports like this come out. Gavin Newsom, the Democratic governor of California, his 12-year-old isn't vaccinated. She goes to a private school. Like, she was in school. His businesses were open. It's hypocritical. They claim to be for the people. But as we'll see, man, Newsom and Biden, they're putting everything on the backs of the average American. They have no problem with that. And that's why people disagree with him. I mean, his approval rating for his handling of the border is somewhere around 25%. Man, like, who are you trying to appease? Because you're supposed to be working for the Americans, not the lefties. Well, we found this out. Zuckerberg spent $419 million to push Democratic votes in 2020. And more than that, he has algorithms that prey on our most prehistoric quirks in the brain to get us to scroll all day long, to feel miserable about our lives, to lie about our lives, and worst of all, to live in an echo chamber. And that's what he's done that's even worse. See, if you tell people, for example, that the Georgia laws are Jim Crow, and you never let them hear an opposing viewpoint, they will believe that the Georgia voting laws are Jim Crow. You will believe that Trump is bad and Biden is a moderate Democrat who's going to pull us together. How much moderate have we seen out of him? None. How much pulling together? How much competence? None. They're doing the same things that the media chastised Trump for doing. They're doing the same BS, except I think this round is worse because I think they're really just in it for the money. Trump might have been in it for the glory, but they're in for the money. I think I'd rather have glory over money because money just means you're stealing from us, as we're going to see more as we get into this show. Let's go, Brandon. This was a cool story. Shatner went to space. I like the Babylon Bee's take on it. It's a really good Star Trek reference right there. But, we can do incredible things, but a lot of our incredible technology is just being used to sell us products, to sell us political views, and to keep us riled up. I mean, man, I don't think in my 50 plus years on this earth I've ever seen a time where politics just dominates every facet of our lives. People are now defined by it. It's kind of ridiculous, man. It's kind of ridiculous. But it's a war at this point. I mean, one side wants to drag us down a road that is not American. Talk about gun control here a little bit. There was a bow and arrow attack in Norway that killed 5 people. I, like she says there, maybe it's the weapon. It isn't the weapon. It's the person. That's from the NRA, and that's something that really needs to be discussed. I mean, I've heard a quote here in LA about the rise in murders, and they blame it on gun violence. And it's not the guns, man. It just simply isn't. It's the people behind the trigger. These are people who, if you took away all the guns, they'd use machetes. I mean, that's just a plain simple fact. And if the criminals had machetes and the good guys had guns, that would be a much better world. Again, here's another example of liberal policies and what they can lead to. Walgreens is closing 5 more San Francisco stores because of organized retail crime. Because, in California, we voted on a measure that would sort of decriminalize things. And the aim was to not ruin people's lives and not to ruin kids' lives for petty little things that maybe can be dealt with a different way. And instead, we have organized gangs who just steal until stores go out of business. And I've said it before, so I'll try to be brief, but you could really easily say, wow, they're big corporations, they have insurance. But when they close their stores, that affects the quality of life for people who live in that neighborhood. People who don't deserve to have to get on a bus just to go pick up a prescription. The Texas House approved a bill outlawing, basically saying that if you're transgender, you have to play on the team that your birth certificate says you belong on. But one thing they don't mention, and I did a deep dive on this, first of all, it's just the House. It still needs to go to the Senate. And also, most of the school districts recognize amended birth certificates. So, I mean, if you're serious about a transition, great, okay, let's figure this out. But we know that this isn't fair to girls involved. And, it's one of those things. It's a slippery slope if you start allowing people if you start making concessions for people that affect the majority. One person versus how many girls does it affect? That kind of thing. But we'll see. We're following it. Many Southwest. Let's go, Brandon. I'm just going to throw that in occasionally, I guess. Yeah, the pilots aren't exactly thrilled with the mandate, I guess. But from what I've read, it was also just shit scheduling and dumb routes coupled with not enough people, not enough planes not, being delayed in one place, and it sets the whole thing back. But, we'll see. Vaccine mandates are starting to play a part in everyday life now. So this guy here, Mr. Biden, Creepy Joe here, the guy who's trying to mandate vaccines and is threatening companies who don't fire their workers, who won't comply, is saying that it shouldn't be an issue that divides us. What? How out of touch do you want your president to be? How out of touch? I mean, we've got what I believe, to be the upper hand. So I don't know if we need to be firing people. We need to be dealing with the disease, but we also need to be healing America. We need to get America back on its feet, and we're not doing that. These mandates are going to slow any recovery. We know this. And again, I mean, if you're that worried about it, maybe you shouldn't go on a plane. Maybe you shouldn't go on a trip. Both sides have rights. The pilots have rights. The passengers have rights. And we need to get going. We need to open this country up, and we need to get things flowing again. It's ridiculous that we've gotten to the point now where we're going to have people losing their jobs. And then this clueless fuck thinks that it shouldn't divide us. You know, I'm all for the vaccines. I'm vaccinated. I have no problem with it. I released a video asking people, please get vaccinated. It seems like a wise choice at this point. But mandates, telling people what to do, man, and being the party that says my body, my choice. It's weird to me, man. I don't disagree with their sentiment. It's your body, your choice, but that needs to apply across the board, not just when you want it to. Not finishing the wall. Yeah, that's another thing. Out of spite. That's it. Out of spite. You know? There's money that has been spent. It's just being wasted. Money that was taken out of our paychecks. Money that was taken out of, you know, transactions, business taxes, all of that. Just being wasted out of spite. What more clarifies that? I mean, come on. Okay, yeah, that was Trump's big thing. Okay? So finish it. We as a country cannot afford this back and forth bitter battle between two parties, man. You don't understand. We're the ones stuck in the middle. We're the ones who are losing money. We're the ones who are losing faith. We're the ones whose security is threatened. We're the ones. They're rich. They have guards. They're protected. They have jobs. They have security. They have great pensions. They have everything fucking laid out for them, man. So they don't care if they're dicking around. It's wasting our money. But it is. It's wasting our money. Out of pettiness. It's dumb. Here's another one. Trump signed a bill restoring funding for black colleges. Biden's budget cuts $30 billion in funding for black colleges. But they're supposed to be the party of the blacks. Well, I don't understand. Like, that is concrete visual evidence right there of who's on your side. It's sad because the Democrats are so obvious with their lies and half-truths and misinformation and false promises. They're so blatantly obvious. And people just don't see it. People, you have to have the courage to admit you're wrong and move on with life, man. I mean, I had to. I've had to about a lot of things in my life, man. I've had to admit a lot of problems that I had, man. And I had to deal with them. And I couldn't blame anybody. I just had to deal with them. You know? I was born an alcoholic. I have to stay away from alcohol. I have to be super vigilant about alcohol. I don't use hand sanitizers. I look at food ingredient lists. I don't order complicated foods in restaurants. Man, I have to do what I have to do. And I have to admit that it's my problem, man. I have to admit that, like, sometimes I cut people off during conversations. I had to admit that I was wrong being a hippie, being so in love with Clinton and thinking that he was going to save the world. You know? All of these things right here. This one is just something I typed up. In 2008, we voted to raise $33 billion to build a bullet train from San Francisco to LA. You know? Major tourist destinations. Now in 2021, the tracks are laid from Bakersfield to Merced. Look that up on a map. Nowhere near LA or San Francisco. Not exactly the route we hoped for. Now it's projected to cost at least $98 billion, and it'll be done maybe in 2029, maybe for $98 billion. Much of it won't be fast, as they're going to have to slow down as they go through towns. Okay, granted, that makes sense. But they've spent this money on consultants. They've spent this money on fancy train stations, or they're going to. All of this for something we could already do by car, bus, plane. There's plenty of ways to get from LA to San Francisco. I've driven it myself. Not the most difficult thing. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 hours, okay? But $98 billion that we could have done something else with. Instead of stripping money out of budgets, city budgets, and things that affect a majority of the people of California, $98 billion. Man, we probably could have gotten a desalination plant for somewhere around there, or at least it would have been a good start. Get us some water, get a nuclear reactor. I don't know. We need electricity and we need water here. We don't need a fucking train. It could have been done. Could have done a lot of good. But hey, we have a train, sort of. Wow. That's, here we go. Backed up cargo ships positioned to spell out. Let's go, Brandon. Yeah. Everybody who relies on the Port of LA and the Port of Los Angeles, which is a lot of the West, man, it is in dire straits right now as far as what's at stores. And again, they don't really care, I don't think. I think the evidence shows that the Dems don't really care, because I think at the end of the day, they want people isolated so the algorithms can sell them shit and keep them politically pure and on the left. Fun fact, American products don't get stuck on cargo ships. Wow. See, we fucked ourselves by moving everything overseas instead of trying to produce it here, or maybe, somewhere down south where maybe it could leave on ports both east and west coast. One of the reasons why LA and Long Beach are such popular ports is they're a straight line from Asia. There's some price increases just because I found this fascinating, that the price of bacon has gone up, $1.60, something like that. Yeah. Gas is up about $1. Wine is up less than $1. Bread, up 9 cents. Eggs, up 50 cents. Coffee, up another 50 cents. But it shows you all of those little raises right there is more money coming out of your pocket. Again, their policies, their way of doing things is not benefiting the average or even below average Americans. It's not. It's not helping at all. They don't care. Do you think fucking Joe Biden cares how much wine goes up per liter? You think Newsom cares how much we're paying for bacon? Do you think the rich George Soroses of this world, that supervillain fuckface, melty face, you think he cares that bacon went up $2? He doesn't give a shit. He's a billionaire. Okay? You're running around acting like little radicals, but you're being manipulated by rich white folks. Okay? That's what you're being motivated by. The Democrats are in a lot of trouble. Okay? Because for every one spoiled white liberal that's out there, there are 3 moderate non-whites. Okay? And those 3 moderate non-whites had either to stand up and demand accountability out of these fuckwads, or leave. And I'm saying leave. I'm saying kill the damn party. Kill the Democrats first. Kill that party off. And then, if the Republicans don't shape up, we'll go after them next. But right now, it's not the Republicans who are making bacon go up $1.50. Supply chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And there's Biden breaking it apart. Because he's ineffectual. He can't do anything. He reads off a teleprompter. He's being led by the nose by idiots who have pie-in-the-sky dreams, who don't care what it costs. They don't care who it hurts. Santa announces that due to supply chain issues, you can now choose between a roasted chestnut or a ball in a cup. And that's the reality. Biden willing to ruin Christmas. These are the same people who are unwilling to sign an infrastructure bill because they want their far left infrastructure bill passed first. One cost $1.5 trillion, one cost $3.5 trillion. Pass the $1 trillion and let's get to work. Let's fix some shit in America. But during all of this, all the supply chain stuff, the transportation of goods, where has our fuckwad transportation secretary been? Where has he been? Huh? He's been on 2 months of paid paternity leave. 2 months. When my wife gave birth, she got a couple weeks. Okay? This guy gets a couple months, and we're in the middle of a crisis, and I don't care. I really don't care. I congratulate him. I don't know how they had the baby. Surrogate, adoption, I don't know. Okay? But I'm fine. And I understand it. He deserves paternity time. To be there. To bond. I'll even give him a month. But 2 months since August? Instead of figuring out what the fuck we're going to do about our supply chain issue, he's been worried about himself because that's what they do. They worry about themselves. They don't care about us. They literally don't care about us. You see it all the time. You see it when they go to functions and they don't wear masks, but they insist that we wear masks. With all this going on, man, this seems very appropriate. Miss me yet? Because all those fires that you see burning right there, all of them fires, you can read it. Those weren't Trump's doing. Okay? You could try to say that he contributed to some of them. Maybe he did. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think so. We didn't have inflation under him. We didn't have an open border disaster. We didn't have vaccine mandates. We didn't have China flying fucking airplanes, military jets over Taiwan. You know, Afghanistan, maybe it would have gone the same. I don't know. You could say maybe he wouldn't have done anything differently. But maybe he would have. Maybe he would have realized that supply chain was paramount and called his transportation secretary back and said, hey, man, I need you to work a couple hours. Like the rest of us. 2 months paternity leave, man. During a crisis? Shit, man. I go to work banged up. Like a lot of people out there, man. I've gone to work sick. Okay? We don't do that so much anymore because everybody's a fucking coward. But we did what we had to do, man. We're Americans. We do what we have to do. They want to strip that away, man. They want to strip away the spirit of America from each and every one of us. And Trump was trying to put it back. And you can't argue with that, okay? You go ahead if you want. Man, run your mouth. But it's not true, all right? China was not posturing. There you go. See? Like I was saying earlier, police officers, TSA agents, pilots. Look, man, if you don't want to get the vaccine, you probably have a good reason. That's the reason I look. I mean, the social media, Facebook, these people, they'll tell you that it's because of misinformation. But that's not necessarily the case. Okay, we don't know what their motivation is. But I've talked to a lot of people who will not get the mandate. I mean, not the mandate. They won't get... yeah. They won't get the vaccine, man. They're young. They're afraid it might harm their reproductive ability. Okay? I know people of color who just don't trust the government when it comes to injecting shit. All right? That's the truth, man. That's the truth. We're out of the woods. We can treat the vid now, man. We can treat it. So we need to move on. We need to stop. We need to drop the pandemic stuff, and we need to move on. We've got to the point now where we have to show our American balls. Terrifying new Halloween mask. Just picks a human face not wearing a mask. Oh my God. It's so true, because the simple point is, if the vaccines work, then why are we wearing a mask? If the masks don't work, we know the masks don't work, and everybody's pinned their hopes on a vaccine, but we're still wearing the mask. Like, it's a symbol of fear, folks. It's a symbol. It's no different than the yellow stars in Nazi Germany, man. The star-bellied sneetches of Dr. Seuss. I don't care. Yeah, so this is another one. Governor Newsom banning small off-road gas engines, including lawnmowers and chainsaws, and generators. So as of like 2040 or 2035, something like that, if there's a blackout, we have no gasoline vehicles to charge our phones off of. Okay, no vehicles, period. And we won't have gas generators. So how are places that have their power shut down during these, windy times, because they don't want power lines setting brush fires, so they shut down entire portions, entire counties. Well, not counties, cities. But we're not going to have gas power because it's so evil. And the best part is right here, they're talking about, making California run exclusively on gas engines. That's what they want. They want us entirely off of gas, man, on green energy. But like it says right here, zero emission generators may be hard to come by. Although there's companies that are making hydrogen ones. Dude, honestly, at this point, gasoline is a safer option than electricity and hydrogen. I literally don't get what they're trying to do, man. I mean, you realize that people will have no power. Kamala's cringy video about space. The kids. Why aren't there any white guys here? My dad says you're only successful because you and Willie Brown. Oh, man. She is horrible. And look, Joe showed up and sniffed a few of the kids' hair. It was all paid actors, man. That's just a quick one that I saw. They want to cancel Columbus Day because he was a criminal, yet they worship George Floyd. Gavin Newsom takes dip in Pacific Ocean, causing massive oil slick. Yeah, we have an oil slick. And, that's what happens, man. That's what happens, Again, maybe if we had more pipelines on land, we'd have this. But, we have oil rigs out there. Now they want to put wind farms out there. I don't know. It's all too much for me sometimes. Two parties in America aren't Republican and Democrat. It's you versus me. This is exactly why this was started. Because those three guys, they're all part of the same group. They're all rich white guys. Obama, come on, man. Come on. He has a mansion in Martha's Vineyard, okay? I mean, and the worst part is that he sides with the rich white folks. He does stuff for the rich white folks. But then when Larry Elder tries to run for governor, you call him a white supremacist. It's funny that way. NFL removes all coaches, players, fans who have ever said a bad word. Only Tim Tebow remains. See, they're judging on the past for a very simple reason. People weren't thinking about what they said back then. It was a different time. People took things a different way. People understood that words that we shouldn't say now used to be sort of commonplace and really didn't necessarily have any slur behind them. South Park said gay all the time, and it wasn't derogatory. We all did. It wasn't derogatory. I mean, I can understand why it could be taken that way, and personally, I just don't say it anymore. But I mean, this is what's going to happen to all y'all. Especially the younger generation, man. They're gonna come after you with whatever they can get. This is what we were talking about earlier. Black folks starting to wake up a little bit here, hopefully. Right there. Nicki Minaj, then NBA dissidents, and Dave Chappelle, all high profile black figures. Because they don't toe the party line. A party line, by the way, that's only supported by let's think about this. If only 25% of people support Biden's open border policies, then that's probably the 25% that are the far left that are canceling people for these kind of things. But after all of that, because quite frankly, I'm sick of it, man. I'm sick of it. I'm going to need a small break until next week, man. Cat rest up in preparation for a long night running up and down stairs. See, even the Babylon Bee gets tired of politics. And I just wish people would realize that they're being manipulated. They're being shuttled into corners, locked in echo chambers, and they're stripping away what it means to be American. You might have been brainwashed to believe that America is bad, but America is not bad. But what we are is badass. And we need to turn that faucet back on. Copious out. Let's go, Brandon.